Hey guys, it's Brianna here. Welcome to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today I have a really fun video for you guys because I am bringing you my top 10 thriller books that I've ever read. Now, let me quickly say this. This is obviously, as you could tell, not my first genre of choice to read. However, I have recently, was it 2021 that I got into them? So I've only been reading thrillers for about 2 years, so I really haven't read that many. However, I am currently, as of filming this video, going through a thriller kick, so I figured, you know what better time than to film a video like this and give you my current top 10 favorites of the books that I've read. And y'all, these books are so good. I really hope that you find one that you haven't read yet, but these are, I would argue, the more popular ones, but I'm very excited. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna try to put these in the order that I've read them, but that's gonna be kind of hard because some of these I kind of read around the same time, so it's not gonna be super accurate. Also, if you don't know this, just from what I understand in watching other people who may read a lot more thrillers than I do, or people who that's just what they read, they have always said when you read thrillers, go in pretty much knowing nothing. That way you get the best experience out of it, because otherwise it kind of takes away from that shock value when the plot is revealed, or like there's all those twists and turns and you know, all that kind of stuff. So, and I also am really bad at remembering books. However, majority of these books are books that I literally will never forget because of everything that's happened in them. So I'm really excited. I'm pretty sure, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm pretty sure pretty much all of these are books that you've heard of, but I really want to share my top 10 as of now. I'm very curious to see if I do this like next year or a couple months down the road, if any of the books I read from now on are gonna bump any of these out of this list, because these are some strong books in my opinion. And I feel like you're gonna see very quickly the types of thrillers that I enjoy. So let's go ahead and start. I'm gonna start with the most obvious, and probably when you think of thriller, it's probably gonna be the most well-known because there's an adaptation. And you're probably like, I already know what it is. And you're probably right. Maybe. Were you right? Were you right that it was You by Carolyn Kepnes? Y'all, I read this book years ago. This was way before I even really understood thriller. Like, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know going in what I was getting myself into. This is well before it was adapted into the TV show with Penn Badgley, or however you say his name. I always feel like I mispronounce his name. I'm obsessed with the show. I think it's great. I don't even know where to go with Joe Goldberg. He's obviously a serial killer, and the story is told from his point of view, and you really start to feel for him, and he's a serial killer, and you're like, but why? Why do I love Joe? There's just something about his character that you can't help but love, but also be like, okay, come on. If you know, you know. But I just really like this book. It's a really fun ride. Also, in my opinion, so I read Hidden Bodies, which at the time of reading this book, I'm pretty sure Hidden Bodies had just released or was coming out, like the paperback was coming out or something, because I have the paperback version of Hidden Bodies. And then when I read it, I actually did the audiobook. Now, please listen to the audiobook. I don't know if they have switched narrators since, but as soon as I found this out, I was like, oh my god, that is going to be the perfect audiobook. I'm completely blanking on the name, but if you're a Disney movie fan, first of all, we're best friends now. But if you've seen Frozen, I feel like everybody's seen Frozen, right? The guy that plays Hans, which, spoiler alert, he is the villain in the story. He narrates these books. Like, the guy that obviously voices Hans in Frozen, he narrates these books. Chef's kiss perfection. It's amazing. It would be really cool though if they could redo narration. I don't know if Penn Badgley could ever do that, but that would just be really cool if he can narrate, because now that we know Joe Goldberg as him, I think it would be really cool. I don't know, just an idea. I think my next book that I read, which would have been in 2021, because like I said, I kind of just read that on a whim because I was just very curious about it because everybody during that time was reading it. And I was like, you know what? Let's try it out. My first technical thriller was Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is probably like, when you think thriller, obviously You is going to come to mind, or Gone Girl, which shamelessly I haven't read yet. I know, don't come for me. Don't come for me. I will get there, okay? When you think of thrillers, this book is always going to come up because Riley Sager is one of those authors in the thriller world. When you think of the books, you're going to think of him. It is just, I'm actually reading currently, when you guys see this video, I'll probably already be done with it, but I'm reading Survive the Night, which was his second to most recent release, if I'm getting it all correctly. That's the only one I haven't read yet. There is no reason why, I just never got to it, but I'm actually listening to it now, and y'all, I know he gets mixed reviews, but honestly, I kind of go into him. Maybe it's because I'm mostly a romance reader, and this is still kind of new to me, and I haven't read that many thrillers to really have like a say, like, oh my gosh. But his books are really a good time. Like, I go into them blind. I don't know anything. Like, I hear the reviews and I don't pay attention to them. You know what I mean? So I go into them knowing I'm going to have a good time. There hasn't been a book that I've hated. I wouldn't say they're my favorite because at this time I've read almost all of his books. And then once his new book comes out, I'll read that once it does come out. His books are just a really good time. Like, I truly enjoy reading his books. This is obviously a take on like those slasher, like cult classics, 80s, you know, slasher movies where everybody dies, but then you've got one survivor. And essentially it's basically that same concept, except there's a group of girls. There's a group of girls who have survived these like mass murders, and they've basically come together, but then all of a sudden now they're being picked off by different serial killers. I can't remember if it's the same person or what, because it's been a while since I've read this, but highly, such a good book. But they're picked off one by one, and you're like, but why are they, like, what's happening? Why, now that they've experienced, you know, all those killings whenever, you know, it happened to them, and now they're being picked off, like, what's going on? And it's just, this is a really good time. I really want to reread this book. Honestly, okay, I take that back. Every one of these books, I would highly, like, reread them. That's when you know it's a really good book, is when you want to reread them. For me, I don't reread very often, so if I'm going to reread a book, you know that's a really good book. So this is probably like my second favorite book. Honestly, I'm also not the person to put books in order, because the fact that I could even pick out 10 should be a pat on the back, okay? I think that those are probably like my top 2. Okay, I'm gonna show you one more book, and those will be like my top 3, because this next book, when somebody asks me through a thriller recommendation, I'm going to say this book, His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Oh my god. Oh my god. This book is pure perfection in a thriller. Like, it is told in multiple point of views. It's obviously a married couple, his and hers, but it's also told from the point of view of this like mystery character, and you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And I'm just like, oh, I will never forget this book. I did the audiobook. I did the audiobook. For the most part on thrillers, I do audiobooks just because it's a lot easier. But this one was such a good time. Like, I think about this book all the time. Could I tell you like specific details? No. But oh my god, I want to reread this book so bad. This book is fantastic. I have read, how many more of hers? I know I've read her newest release, which is Daisy Darker. That one is also super good. If I could make this list longer, I would definitely put Daisy Darker on this. I have a feeling I've put some of her like backlist titles on Libby, because that's an app that I use to listen to audiobooks, and that's the one generally I have the most success with. I cannot wait to read more from her. Obviously, Riley Sager is probably one of my favorite thriller authors, but I have a feeling Alice Feeney is going to be taking that spot too, because there's something about her books that I'm obsessed with. And sorry, you can hear a siren. Joys of living off of a street where you can hear everything. So sorry about that. So that is definitely like my top 3. Those hands down are like my absolute favorites. And then another one that I read when I first got started, I was actually sent a copy of this book and I was like, actually, this sounds really good. This is Do No Harm by Christina McDonald. And basically this one is like, is it like a medical thriller? I don't remember what this one like categorizes as. I'm still trying to fully understand like what, you know, each categorization is, or if this is like a domestic thriller, although it's not about the couple. But basically we have this married couple. Their daughter, yeah, their daughter has some kind of sickness. I don't remember if it's like cancer or just some like really, you know, bad illness, and obviously the drugs that she needs to feel better are extremely expensive. So what do? It becomes them trying to, I don't even remember like what they're told to do. I don't even remember. What was it? Oh, wait, no, it's their son. See, this is what happens when I start getting books confused. Dang it. What is it? She has to, I think it's the husband. He's like in law enforcement to some degree or something like that. And she has to do questionable things to get the money to basically pay for the medicine that her son needs. And this book was so good. I surprisingly don't hear people talk about her books. I don't know if she's just not as well known as some of these other authors, but I really want to read more of her books because this book had me hooked. Like, I'm not joking. This book was so fascinating. It was so good. Another book that I literally could not stop reading. I actually did the audiobook of this one. The concept of this game, this is what happens when I read Escape. I was thinking like an escape room, like a game. This is The Escape Room by Megan Golden. Oh my God, this book is so good. I think about this book all the time because it literally starts off, like, this is not a spoiler because it's literally the first chapter. It is basically like you hear screaming. So it's in like a hotel or something, whatever. And the night shift, like, it's already closed for the night, whatever. Night shift is coming in, just, you know, security and everything. And he hears screaming. And I think, or does he hear like a gunshot or something and then hears screaming? And he's like, well, that's weird. And he doesn't like think anything of it because, you know, why would anything ever happen? Yeah, turns out that was real. Because I think it's like a couple hours later, he was like, why is the elevator moving? Like, nobody's here. Like, I'm the only person here. Why is the elevator moving? And he's like panicking, freaking out. Well, needless to say, when it opens, there's blood coming out and there's a dead body. And everybody's like, what just happened? I can't remember how many people are trapped in the elevator because it gets shut off for whatever reason. I can't remember the reason why. But multiple people are stuck in the elevator for hours on end. Pitch black, like power goes out, I think, everything. And it's basically like, who did it? Like, kind of situation. Oh my God, this book had me hooked. I could not put it down. I really want to reread this book because it's just the concept was absolutely amazing. I've also read one of her other books, which I think came out after this one. It's called The Night Swim. That one was really good, but this one stands out between the two that I've read. Obsessed. Now I know this one, I'm looking at like the stack of books that I have on the floor. I know that this one that I'm holding was like one of the last ones I did compared to this stack. The other ones just kind of get blurred. So I'm just going to say that this one was the next one. So this one is a thriller, but it also has like romantic pieces to it. So obviously if you're a romance reader, you know about this book. If you're a thriller person, you kind of know. That's why I like this book. It bridges both. This is Verity, obviously, by Colleen Hoover. Another book that is extremely well known in the entire book community. Because like I said, it branches so many different areas of reading and whatever. This one is really fascinating. So basically we have a married couple and the wife, Verity, is an author and something happens to her where she's basically in like a vegetated state. Like, she's there, but she's not communicating. She's not doing anything. And she has a book that's supposed to be finished. However, I can't remember how the other girl comes into play. I can't remember. I think she's an author too, and I can't remember the situation of how she came about, but basically she steps in to finish Verity's book, and she goes to their house, spends time a lot with the husband, so you can see where I'm going with that. So like I said, the wife is like there, so they think that she can't like understand anything going on. Things start to happen because the more time that this girl and the husband spend time together, things happen, as you can tell. It's such an interesting book. Like, you don't know who to trust, like what's going on. You don't know which team to side with. You're like, but who? And it's quite a time, let me tell you. I think that's really all I can give you. Plus, I don't really remember a whole lot more. But again, I want to try and keep these as vague as possible. So, another favorite. I think this one would be the next one. This book, I know that this one gets polarizing reviews. I personally loved it. This is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. Basically, we're on I think it's a cruise ship, or a ship of some sort, but I think it's a cruise, where things start to happen. The woman staying obviously in cabin 10 hears somebody like being like, she starts to hear screaming, and then she starts to see like, I think something happens to the person like next door. I can't remember if they were like thrown overboard. Something happens to the neighbor, and then like she's like, oh my god, like what do I do? And she doesn't know what to do. So it's like the next day everybody's like acting as if nothing happened, like there wasn't a death on the boat. And she's like, what? And it just raises a lot of questions, like what is actually going on? Like, who did it? Like, did it really happen? Is there a dead body? Like, where did the body go? All kinds of questions. This one was really entertaining. I had a good time reading this one. I can't remember, I know she has quite a backlist, not like a super extensive backlist, but I can't remember if I've read more of her books or not. I definitely want to, like they're very high on my TBR. I just haven't had a chance, but this one is really good. Another favorite, obviously because they're all favorites, is The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. I didn't know what to take. Like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into with this book. This is, okay, so I think this is the only one I've read by her. However, I definitely want to read more because I know she is a very well-loved author. She's another one of those, like, very popular thriller authors. But basically, I'm pretty sure it's two sisters and not just, like, two random girls. I think they're sisters. I think that they had that kind of connection. But basically, they're forced into the woods by gunpoint. One of them runs for her life and the other has to stay behind, and it's basically, I think this one goes through like a timeline, like time jumps, when they are younger, and then like now things that are happening as like things are unfolding, like you start to see like what happened to them, you know, in their past, and then as they get older, everything that's going on. Like I said, this one was bonkers. I was like, wait, what? Like, I just remember like vivid scenes that I was on my way home from work or whatever, and I'm like, did that really just happen? Like, did I really hear that right? Oh no, I did. This one was a really good time. I know she's not for everybody because she tends to have darker themes in her books, but as a dark romance girly myself, I really like this book. So just saying, this one was really good. Next one, I'm sorry, but I gotta put another Riley Sager. I tried not to, but the premise of this one is just so fascinating. This is Lock Every Door, obviously by Riley Sager, like I said. So basically, the premise of this one is there's like this very famous hotel, and the heroine in the story, she's like very obsessed with it. Nobody seems to come out of it alive. Like, things are happening. You're like, what is going on? And she's offered basically to stay there, and she's being paid, and she's like, duh, I'm gonna do it. And every time she passes people, they look at her like she's crazy. And they had like all these stipulations. Nobody was allowed to stay with her. Like, she couldn't have visitors. She couldn't be out on the streets by, like, she literally had a curfew. She's like, well, that's okay. Like, I'm being paid to stay here. Like, okay. And then she starts to, like, the more time that she spends in this hotel and in the room, things start to happen that she's like, oh my god. Like, she starts to uncover secrets that other residents are keeping quiet and everything, and you're just like, oh. I was literally like, I remember going on walks because at the time I was still living at my parents', and every time I would have to like look behind me, even though I knew nobody was there. I just got really paranoid. But this book was such a good time. Like I said, like Riley Sager's books, again, I don't know enough about thrillers, I guess, but I really have a good time reading his books. Like, I just really enjoy them. Like the one I'm reading right now, yeah, it's predictable. I have a feeling I know exactly what's happening, but I don't care. It's just, it's a good story. Like, he sucks me in. Like, sorry. Okay. This book, I scratched. It may be like in the top 4. It's scary how realistic this book is. It terrifies me. So we have The Passengers by John Mars. Now, essentially, this is basically where we have, I would say like a dystopian, yet we have cars like these, where it's like the self-driving cars. We obviously have cars like that nowadays. But this is why I never want to get a car like that, because it absolutely terrifies me. Because essentially, I think it's like, what is it, 12 people that are randomly selected to go to this like destination. Is it that they're all going to the same destination or something like that? I can't remember. But basically they're, you know, they get into the car. You can't get out. Once you're in the car, you are either going to die in the car. Spoiler alert, most of them do. Or you're gonna make it to the end. And spoiler alert again, not very many people make it out. So yeah. And it's basically about just, because you have a very wide range of people that they have put into these cars. Like there's a person for each car and whatever. So it's obviously multiple perspectives. But it really makes you like question, like, you know, everything going on in life and whatever. It's just really fascinating. I don't know. This book creeped me out because of how realistic this is. And it freaked me out. It's basically the Hunger Games, but like in car mode, if that makes any sense. I don't know. This, like, it's scary because it's so realistic. That's what gets me, is this literally could happen. It wouldn't surprise me. But like I said, this book is good. I definitely want to reread it, despite how much it like creeps me out because of how realistic it is. How many times can I say realistic? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling because this video is already pretty long as is. But those are my top 10 favorite thrillers as of now, as of 2023. I hope to do another video. Maybe I'll say, let's do it next year. Let's see how I am next year when I've read at least hopefully a handful more of thrillers, and we'll see if any of these ratings changes. If you are a thriller reader, let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these, if there are some that are on your favorites list that maybe I need to check out, especially if I haven't read them yet. But yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope you guys stick around, subscribe. All of my social media links are down below. I am the most active on Instagram if that's where you guys want to see, you know, what I'm reading, what I'm doing, whatever. But yeah, all of them are down in the description if you guys want to check me out elsewhere. But until my next video, bye guys.